walk where the relics sleep, under stone and salt and wire. Names erased by soot and rain, kept alive in ash and fire. Old saints stare from broken glass, fingers black with time and smoke. Every seal and every scar tells the vow that I invoke. Open the door, let the old world breathe. I know the sign under broken reeds. Black candles call me in. Black candles call me in. I read the dust, I read the bone. Black candles call me in. Black candles call me in. The dead remember what we have known. Down below the iron bridge, there's a chapel in the mud, hidden gold and rusted keys, sleeping under layers of blood. I hear the choir through the wall, low and far like buried rain. Every prayer, sharpened thread, pulls me closer to the name. Open the door, let the old world breathe. I know the sign under broken reeds. Black candles call me in. Black candles call me in. I read the dust, I read the bone. Black candles call me in. Black candles call me in. The dead remember what we have known. And if the night takes my hand, I will not turn away. I have seen the hidden face in the ruin and decay. Ancient mouth, iron tongue, speak through me again. From the vault to the street, let the shadows sing. Black candles call me in. Black candles call me in. I read the dust, I read the bone. Black candles call me in. Black candles call me in. The dead remember what we have known.
Hello, hello, my friends. I hope you enjoyed a little bit long intro. I need to make it a little bit shorter, but I am experimenting with my own music, AI generated, and I was playing also with the AI video with, yeah, a little bit. Just an experiment. Anyway, the time for this stream is a bit different because I wanted to be more available also for my audience, not in the Europe, but of course Australia, US. I know maybe it's too late for Australia, but it might be still okay time for my subscribers. So thank you very much. If I see there are some people already here. This is going to be, we will see how it's gonna be. I wanted to discuss more the topics of necromancy, and also this is a continuation of my last video, because if you haven't seen it, you can later watch it. I was discussing the recent theft of quite famous relic in Czech Republic. It was the school of a saint. So if you haven't seen the last video where this happened, the thief was not known. Now the police found it. Yeah, so there is going to be some kind of story about this, which I will start with, and then I would like to continue the discussion on necromancy, spirits of the dead, something that I was not maybe focused on in my previous videos that much. I think I made one old stream. It was called They, like they, them, I think. And where I wanted to discuss like specific spirits, demons, egregores, larvae, and one of those videos was also about the dead. But yeah, I would like to speak more about necromancy later on. I am currently in a very specific time. Today is my birthday, by the way. So, and I plan to work more on the videos and streams in upcoming days, maybe even months, as I have finally changed my current I have changed the work practically. I have decided that I am going to take a little bit of sabbatical from my regular schedule, regular work that I'm doing beside these videos and magic and all of these type of things. So there is going to be a sabbatical for upcoming few months, and I'm going to focus more on practice and maybe also on videos. Yeah, so I'm very happy that we can maybe reestablish the frequency of these topic streams. Hopefully once per week I will be able to stream. The times are not yet set, and as I have a little bit more time than before, and if you would like to support me, of course, you can either support the channel by following, you already do, or liking, or even taking a tarot reading with me, which will be during this sabbatical time part of my income. So if you are into it and you would like to speak with me directly, I am ready to take to do the readings for you. You can check it on the QR code here. The website is open. These are quite intense tarot sessions. The minimum, I think, is 1 hour, and I do even longer sessions with different types of tarot decks, but it's more like occult, spiritual, philosophical consulting than just regular tarot reading. Yeah. Okay. Oh, and thank you very much. So it's my birthday, so it's a little bit nice occasion that I thought that I should give a little bit of love to the channel and to all of you. So let's go back to the topic. If you haven't seen it, just quickly, I need to put this information again, or to refresh the memory. Few weeks ago in Czech Republic, a very rare Christian relic was stolen from a church. That was the school of Saint Zdislava. Saint Zdislava was a lady, a saint from 13th century. She was her reliquary. Her skull was in that church, and people could practically have their prayers before the skull. You know how the Christians' relics are working. And it was believed that the skull, or those, not the skull, but the relic as such, is so potent that it can heal people's illnesses. And Zdislava was also known as a patron of women that are under home violence. Yeah, so Zdislava had a very cruel husband. She was a noble in the 13th century. That was she was a young lady, very kind to people, and of course noble, was heavily drinking, whoring, doing this type of things. And he was, of course, at the time, in medieval times, very cruel to her. But at the end, practically she was always helping people. She died relatively young, and her husband, from this person he turned he became a monk after she died. So from a very cruel soldier mercenary, he became a Dominican monk. Yeah, so Zdislava was then her sainthood was proclaimed by church very, very late, several hundreds years after her death in 1995. In my previous video, I was also discussing the miracles, because to be proclaimed a saint according to the Roman Catholic Church, beside other things, you have to be, or it should be recorded that you were able to do miracles of healing during your life, or not only healing, but there are other miracles like being present and at the same moment in several places, things like that, or being able to provide prophecies. In the case of Zdislava, she was able to heal people with several illnesses, children, and so on. And even there were like sightings of her after her death. Yeah. So where she was again helping spiritually as a spirit, or she was proclaimed to be helping several times. And of course, in 1995, that's late 20th century, sometimes church also decides to do these things politically. We have to be staying realistic, that to proclaim someone a saint, especially a woman that was under domestic abuse, that would be a good example. Of course, even in these days, yeah, the domestic abuse is worldwide. So the church wanted to maybe give this example of a woman in the 13th century that through her love, even to her husband, even because of this domestic abuse, that's an example of that should be followed. Yeah, so we know this the position of Roman Catholic Church against divorces. It's a great or big topic. Of course, Roman Catholic Church is not that keen to give permit to Roman Catholic couples to divorce. You have to have practically permit not only by the Archbishop of the dioceses, but practically permit directly from Vatican. Yeah. And in current, otherwise, yeah, of course, like in civic law, you can divorce, but that will be not still accepted by Roman Catholic Church, because once you are a man and a woman, wife and husband, it's until the death. Or except these situations where Vatican gives permit for the divorce, that can take years. And one of those reasons is domestic abuse and violence, of course, and also abuse against the children, things like that. Yeah, so it's given now more than it was given maybe 20 or 30 years ago. And Zdislava is that example. So in 1995, politically, it was good for, of course, also for the church to proclaim that Zdislava was saint because she was able to go through so much abuse, and still she loved her husband, and her husband was then changed totally after her death and become a monk. Maybe it was the true. I don't know. Yeah, they say it was almost like a miracle. Okay, I don't want to be sarcastic or ironic here. The woman definitely had to go through a lot of abuse, especially in the medieval times. So her body is still in the church. It's a small Czech city. And Zdislava's skull was separated from the body and was put into on the tabernacle in a reliquary under two glasses where the skull could have be seen. So you can imagine a lot of Christians were visiting the place and were praying. In Roman Catholicism, people can be praying to saints, yeah, not to worship them, but to ask them for help, because they believe. In my previous video, I spoke about that the saint is very close to Christ and to God, and can somehow maybe help the prayer to go through more than usual standard prayer, because those that are sinners, everyone is a sinner, they have maybe difficulties to achieve God's mercy without the good word of the saint. Yeah, this is something, of course, that Protestantism is against. Yeah, they say that God is merciful nevertheless, and you do not need intermediary for getting God's mercy. Yeah, but Roman Catholicism has a rich culture of saints. Not only Roman Catholicism, of course, their saints are recognized also in Orthodox Church and so on. So check my previous video. So the school was there. I think I even have the photo of it. This was. It looked like this. You see, yeah, there was a school in the tabernacle, and just few weeks ago during the Catholic Mass, there was a thief that came into the church, like ran into the church, and broke the glass and stole the skull and ran away with the skull. And it took them a little bit time, because during the Catholic, normally the skull was under alarm. So if you break the glass, it was not like bulletproof glass, it was normal glass. There were two glasses practically that were like separating the skull from the altar. Yeah. And the skull was not put directly in the center of the altar, but it was one of the church had several smaller altars. So during the Mass, when the priest was practically serving the sermon, the masked person stole the skull and ran away. They just heard some kind of like sound of the breaking of the glass. He had like small hammer, and he ran away. And they were like in total shock, of course. In Czech Republic is not that known for, there are not that many Catholics in church in Czechia, interestingly, because Czechia had or Bohemia had a long history fighting the Catholic Church for hundreds of years. But yeah, it's all the past. There are, of course, still many churches in Czech Republic, and it was a national outrage, because of course this is like, who would stole the skull of a saint? And of course it started to bring a lot of conspiracies and so on. Satanists did that. Yeah, it must be someone like mentally ill, someone that why would someone need such skull? The skull, by the way, was in not very good shape, because part of the skull, bones of the skull, were missing. And 20 years ago, they were able practically to restore the face, also with the whole skull is not like organic, it was just a part of it. Yeah, but so it was like an outrage, like, for what? Yeah, because some reliquaries are put into the crosses of gold or gems or things like that. So of course, when you are stealing something, some relic, yeah, you might be stealing also the gold and so on. But this was not the case. It was just the skull. And so there were two theories, whether maybe it's an ill person or it's a sect or someone. And these type of things were happening in Europe, especially also in Germany, Spain, Italy. There were many relics that were stolen and sold on the black market. But in recent years in Czech Republic, there were a series of thefts of bones. Yeah, so we do have a lot of old ossuaries, places of the bones of the saints that are not that even protected in those churches. Yeah, they are just like, maybe there is an altar, you might have like limited access to it, but you can cross it, you can break the mirror, the glass, and you can take it relatively easily. Yeah, maybe someone can catch you, but if you are choosing the right time for it, of course during the night the church might be closed, but you can get in there. Yeah, so there might be alarm, but on some smaller places, smaller villages, and these places, these skulls, these saints, it's like a uh, uh, it's proud possession of those churches. Yeah, so they have it like for hundreds of years. Yeah, thefts of the remains of the saints and martyrs. This was happening all the time, even in the medieval times. But now, in recent times, there were these series of thefts, and there was already one Hindu sect, yeah, Hinduistic sect in Czech Republic that were stealing these bones because they believed that they are giving specific powers to the gurus, but they were also like selling those skulls on the black market. Yeah, for some people still wanted to have them. Yeah, so there was a proclamation of the Archbishop of the Roman Catholic dioceses, and they didn't know whether it, because that Hinduistic sect was already like checked by the police, so it was not the case. So they knew that this is someone else. Yeah, and so the Roman Catholic Archbishop even said that stealing now, like in contemporary time, that stealing such relic might come with a curse. So imagine, like 21st century right now, the Roman Catholic Church officially says the thief will be probably cursed by stealing it, whether it was just to bring some fear to the person, or they really meant that. But Archbishop, of course, can't be accused of lying. So, and I'm also in that mind that stealing some object that is usually used for healing, or misusing that object that is like astral magical egregore, can be harmful for a person, that because such items might be really like centers of astral energy, spiritual they are charged by the prayers and so on. So you are practically turning the egregore against you. But if you are practicing magician, some of extreme necromantic path, let's say, there might be some rituals that can charge it, that they really want to work with that skull. Yeah. So the police, everything, it was everywhere in the news. The thing was that the person, normally they had alarm, but during the Catholic Mass, the alarm is turned off. And they had like very old video camera from, I don't know, 20 years old in the church. So it was all fuzzy and not shown very nicely. But they saw some guy like in sport dress, with relatively young man, who was very fast. So they thought that maybe this was not the original thief, that he was just paid to take it because he was young, fast, break the glass, run away. But so that was the moment when I was doing my first video, and few days afterwards, the police announced that the thief was catched. They did not want it to, and still they are not like disclosing his identity, but they said that the person was acting alone, that there was no other organization behind it, and that the person but that the person hid that skull in a strange place, that the police can't access that place right now. So it was like, what? Like they catched him, like but where is the skull? Who is it? Okay, the police will not tell, but where is the skull? Why is the police saying like that they can't access the place where the skull is? So later on, there came like another announcement that the person put that skull into concrete. That there was like that he put a layers of new concrete, and the skull was practically within that concrete. So they on and they were not able to access it. So the police asked for some experts how to put that skull that already from that firm concrete. The problem was that the skull was could be easily broken during the process when you are trying to crack the concrete. So they were able to open that concrete tomb, and they took that skull away, and it was returned to the church. And so people were curious why this strange behavior. So what did they wanted to do with that skull? The perpetrator of the act said that he was acting against the law of the church, that he did not like the fact that the skull is separated from the body of the saint, and that he wanted to bury the skull, and he wanted to put that slab of concrete into a river where it would rest. So a little bit crazy to me and to everyone. Like, okay, he wants to bury the skull. Why he's like taking only the skull? What about the rest of the body? It's still separated. And even if you have the skull, okay, you can hide it somewhere, but to put it into the concrete and then like take the whole piece of concrete super heavy and drop it into the water, you can do it just with the skull. So it's like if he was like saying to the police that he's against the way how the skull is treated, that this is like a human remain, and that the remains should be like ethically put to rest with the rest of the body. This does not make any sense. So the church took the skull, and now it's in their possession, and they still haven't displayed it again because they want to put it under the bulletproof glass right now. And fortunately, the skull was not destroyed. But the whole story is a little bit strange. The police put it all under the carpet. They said like that was not that it was like a political act against the way how Roman Catholic Church is displaying the skull. I think that it's totally, yeah, that there must be, and I am not conspirating here. It for me, it just does not give any sense. Why would you steal something so effectively and put it into the concrete layer and then want to put it into the river? Why not to do it immediately? Why? Very strange. So I am now the church, of course, in Czech Republic is afraid that there might be copycats, that they are going to take another relics from another places. But as I said, Zdislava, now the saint, probably we will see whether she will find peace or not, but definitely treating that remain was very strange. I also am of my own opinion that there must have been something else behind it. I think that this is like clearly some sort of defamation, of that remain. Maybe they wanted to put it under concrete. It was on some strange place. Police did not want it to say where it happened, where the concrete slab was, but it seems that it should have been used later on as a place of worship for some other organizations that are active here. So which brings me to necromancy, as such. Interestingly, just a month, or it's a little bit more than a month ago, I was visiting a famous ossuary in Czech Republic, medieval ossuary. It's called the ossuary of Sedlec. It's very hard to say. It's in Czech. It's called Kostnice v Sedleci. Kostnice means like ossuary, and in German it's Sedlec Beinhaus. This is very close to a medieval city in Czech Republic called Kutná Hora. That was very rich city in the medieval times, and they had this ossuary in a Roman. They have it still in Roman Catholic chapel. The chapel is called like the Cemetery Church of All Saints. And what is interesting is that this ossuary is one of the largest in the world. It contains 40,000 bodies, skulls, bones, skulls, skeleton of 40,000 people from medieval times on very small place. So the ossuary looks is partially like you go into the church and then you see practically the whole hall is made of human bones. So there are candelabers, I might have even a photo of it. It looks a little bit like this, my friends. These are all human bones. This is what you see here. This chandelier, it's made of human spines. They are these are all human skulls. And then what is not shown here, behind that windows and so on, there are pyramids of human skulls. So this comes practically from the 13th 14th century. The bodies were put there during the plague, after the plague, probably for 200 years. And you can visit the place. Yeah, it's not allowed to make photos. This is a photo, this is an official photo. Yeah, so of course, as you are practically approaching the burial place. So in medieval times, in Germany, France, in Paris, actually, there is like a largest ossuary, but this one is I think the third or fourth. In Czech Republic, we do have the second largest in the world. So this is not the largest in the world, but it's displayed from human spines. Yeah. So for me, this was a moment where I started, because before I was thinking a lot about the burial cemeteries, the spirits of the dead. I really wanted to feel the place, to get into that vibe and the energy that is being emitted in places like these. So I did travel there, and I spent like a few hours working. I was there, and then of course, then you have like a cemetery around it, and it's very strange feeling when you are looking at the pyramids of skulls that are like hundreds of years old, and they are like watching back to you, and the energy there was, it was not the energy of calmness. It was very dark mood, like something super heavy. Yeah, that it was really, I wouldn't say like evil, not at all, but it was so heavy, like so it produced this existentialistic fear inside of you, that practically you are looking at uh, at at the termination of our human body. Like every one of us will end like that. And really, I wanted like to focus on some of these skulls. In some of my videos, you couldn't, of course, you can't touch it. Yeah, but you can like visualize, you can look. Yeah, you can try to perceive the energy from things. We perceive the energy from nature, from when you can walk somewhere and you see nice places. Yeah, you have different energy from cemeteries, and you have totally different energy from these ossuaries. And there was a moment when I like was looking at that and those skulls, and there was like a moment of like negative feeling. Like I felt really like that, like something is telling me, you will be like us. Yeah, you are practically you are already in the process of becoming like us. Yeah, but it was not this memento mori, remember the dead moment, but it was like the skulls are not happy that I am still alive. Yeah, that maybe there was a feeling of temporality of things, like okay, we have lived our life and you are still living, but your life is very temporary. It's just like a moment, the minuscule moment, because we are longer dead than we are alive. That we have been living in that times like 40, 50 years, and now we are dead for 400 years. Yeah, so it was like I did not want it to get into that conflict situation, because it was very powerful. You feel like that they are watching. Not all of those skulls were like that. Yeah, some of them were like you felt different energy. But imagine that if there is in Egyptian magic, they believed, or religion, older religions, they believed in several states of human soul after being dead, and they believed in several that the human soul is practically composite of several states of soul. So there is not only one state. There is like Ba, the higher soul, and the Ka, the lower soul, and the lower soul is staying near the body, near for a long time. If it's dissolved, that's why, for example, in Brahmanism, they are trying to burn the bodies. Even the skulls are remaining sometimes. So they end up similarly in these not directly ossuaries, but for example agori are working with the skulls and so on, bones. So you feel that there is something around it, maybe not that higher soul, but the remains, the emotional energies, the things that kept these people living, still were around those remains. If someone is like sensual, can feel it. Even people that are not like training it, like they stopped being that. People stay there like 5 minutes. I saw people that were like disrespectfully making photos, but of course then you have some stupid people that are like making selfies, but then there was like always some kind of guard there that told them like to go away or something. You have crazy people, but these people are not able to feel anything. They are just like stupid. But those that can contemplate a little bit, and if you contemplate any kind of object, whether it's a tree, whether it's a stone, you start to feel some kind of energies. So with the skulls it was much more powerful. And I felt this really this heaviness, there, that you are being like watched. And mm, it was like a hive mind. They're like, they were like in imagine that someone is dead, probably that I will die, you will die, and you end up on that pile of bones, that pile of skulls, and imagine like, who is your neighbor? Who is that, the next skull next to you? Would you like that person or not in real life? And you are stuck with these people for maybe not for eternity, but for hundreds and hundreds of years. And visitors are coming in, like in 18th, 19th century, maybe they are praying. In the 20th century, there's people are watching. In the 21st century, people are making photos of you. That it was creating some kind of negative feeling. So it reminds me of that Zdislava. That Zdislava's skull was an object of veneration. People are going to that skull to pray, to ask for help. So I feel that I can understand that it's like they are not okay. One more important thing is that the Roman Catholics are not praying to the skull. They are using they are praying, of course, to God, but they are asking the saint to be helpful. So they are not worshiping the relic. But the relic is important in magical way. We can say magical egregor to it. So if I go, so the energy of that place was different than from the ossuary, where you have these bones. There were even some skulls that like dropped from that pyramid, that the pyramids were not perfectly arranged. So some skulls just rolled away from it. So you had like few skulls were just laying next to it. And that was even worse. Like you feel like, okay, so what if it is like my skull? That I will just roll away from the pile of skulls, and I will be just, my head will be laying in the dust. Yeah. So was it a good thing, bad thing? Did the skull even felt the energy around it? How maybe the skull didn't want it to be with these people. Yeah, I'm thinking from the magical perspective, magical thinking. Like, what is the chance of it? Yeah, maybe it's just like gravity, but sometimes the feeling there was very, very heavy. And I was like speaking later on with the curators of that area, and I asked them, like, what brought those artists to create like chandeliers from a human spines? What is the reason for it? Is it some sort of morbid fantasy or something? Those of you that have joined recently, I will show the photo again. Yeah, this is the chandelier made of human spines. Yeah. And they practically explained to me that this started to happen. The tradition of this is from the medieval times, that they believe that all of it's like that the chandelier shows practically the light to the resurrection, because they all believed in, and still believe, like that every human that is like worthy of God will be resurrected. And Roman Catholicism has a doctrine that they believe that the resurrection will be physical, not only spiritual, that spirit will be regaining some kind of that the spirits will be again with us, but it will be physical resurrection. So but the body will be new. It will be not that body on the chandelier, not that skull. It will be new body, better body, but physical body. Yeah. And that this is practically, it means two things: memento mori, yeah, that your existence is temporary, and it changes the face, like from living to dead and from dead to the living. Yeah. And that the chandelier, the light of it, it's practically the light of the chandelier made from the human spines, should remind you that there is going to be light after the death, but only if you are spiritually worthy and having achieved God's mercy according to them. So I contemplated on that. Yeah. When I was leaving the ossuary, I felt that I am leaving practically a hub of or a hive of dead, thousands and thousands of dead in that soil. They are still buried there. Yeah. So, and it was like the feeling that I get at the end was, okay, you are leaving, but you will be back. Yeah, that was the moment. And the reality between the dead and living was super thin there. Like you really felt that, and I felt that, like, okay, this is temporary. I'm so close to that moment. Yeah, for them the time means very little. And so I perceived those skulls, those remains, practically not entirely empty. Yeah, like the modern science would say, this is just some kind of calcinated object, the bone. Yeah, it's a human remain, but of course it might survive hundreds, even thousands of years, but later on will dissolve. I really felt that there is something around it. Yeah. I was also in another ossuary, but that's several years ago, and that's ossuary in Germany, in Cologne. In Cologne, you have this very famous cathedral, but Cologne, by the way, in the World War II, it was heavily bombed by the Allies. Only if you have seen those photos from the war, only the cathedral, which is the third largest cathedral in the world, behind the Vatican, St. Peter's Basilica. Then there is Duomo in Milan, and then you have the cathedral in Cologne. But there is another ossuary in Cologne, and it's not there. Everything was destroyed except maybe few buildings there. Now it's all renovated. Cologne is interesting, nice city, but it is renovated. Even the old buildings are renovated, but they are like new. And there is a basilica of Saint Ursula in Cologne, where you have the walls made of bones. I will show it to you as well. It looks like this. You see these arcs here. These are bones. Thousands of bones inside. It's another form how the dead are stored in the walls. And then you, of course, have the busts of either of very famous or saints and so on there, that are acting practically as a witnesses of the for the resurrection. So it all comes with this idea that all of the bones, all of the bodies will be renewed. Yeah, we'll get a new bodies in the future when there is like Christ coming and so on. But imagine to be in that place, that there are thousands and thousands of them. Yeah, so similar feeling. Yeah. We have, I think, as a society, really repressed the reality of death. Yeah, we live in society that is full practically of new inputs. Yeah, always you have to, what is news. Yeah, marketing, social networks, a lot of new information. But when someone is dead, simply disappears. Yeah. I have a story for that. Like, as I can be maybe even saying something from my life. My father passed away. It's not only maybe 2 years ago. Yeah, not maybe, he passed away like that. And the country that he's from, he was relatively known in the country where I'm from. The country was Slovakia. I'm now living in Czech Republic, which is neighboring country. And I realized that he was even like in the newspapers and so on, in a good way. Yeah, he was a relatively known figure in his work. And the country is not that big, but yes. But when he like passed away is the correct word. Sorry. When he passed away, maybe in a year, I started to see that the Google algorithm starts to push all of these like newspapers, photos, you can still search it if you are searching through the algorithm, but it's rarer and rarer. Yeah, you don't see the immediate photos. If for example, my civic name, if I put it into Google, yeah, and I look for images or something like that, okay, I find my photo somewhere. Yeah, but before that, it was always like my father was more known, of course. So even that I have this like YouTube channel, so I saw his photos or something. Now, no, I see my photos because I'm more active. So it's going like more into behind, and we are not used to. We are repressing everything that is like not living, and everything that is beside of actual living. Everything that is not new, we forget. Yeah, and we are not used to see this terminality of things. So when you are like in the wall that is full of bones, or you see hundreds or thousands of skulls looking at you, it creates this reflex that okay, this is not that it's very strange. Yeah, when I sometimes there was a training that I did with some of my students, not because of the morbidity, but really to realizing the death, the decay, that the decay is a regular process of everything. Everything dies every minute, every second. Millions of your cells are being created and are dying, like your skin, everything. So when I was working with some of my students, we went through a street, and there was a dead pigeon, dead maybe for 2 or 3 days. And they were like, oh my gosh, like, what is this? Like, oh, let's turn away. And I was so, no, let's go to that carcass. And they were like, are you like, well, why do you want that? I want you to look at it. I want you to look at it for a long time, maybe at least 5 minutes. It was very inconvenient for them to look at it, because it's a shocking thing that we have this reflex of we don't want to look at things that are reminding us of mortality. That's why why so few people visit cemeteries, for example, at least in the Western societies, because we are afraid of it. By the way, some cemeteries are very nice, not because of morbidity. Yeah, okay, I'm now going to sleep near the graves, but I just want to point out that the dead are part of our life. Everything dies, and it's being born and dies again. And in the past, people were living in places where the dead, maybe even in Roman times, early Roman times, in Etruria, the bodies of the dead, of ancestors, were put into the under the ground of the houses where the people were living. So people were living about the dead. Yeah, so and they thought that the ancestors are practically protecting the household. So when we, and I'm getting into this, will be probably a long video, so of course it's good to watch it also later, but I want to point out that the dead, or the idea of necromancy, or the working with the spirits of the dead, is something that is as old as the human society. It's not only from the medieval times. The ossuaries are only something that we have inherited from several hundreds of centuries ago. But in let's say in ancient Greece, you have where there were like very strong ceremonies for appeasement of the dead. For example, in now very famous, very popular deity Hecate. Yeah, her temples were in the caves, and the dead were buried in the caves. So it was a chthonic underworld deity that people that were practically connecting with that spirit or with the deity were also connecting with their ancestors. Hecate was considered practically, she was a titan, yeah, later on accepted by the Olympic gods. But interesting story about Hecate. But she was considered a deity that was controlling or taking care of the dead. So people were praying to Hecate to have also like protections for their ancestors, or to get the help of the ancestors. You also had to do some kind of rituals. In PGM, so in the Greek manuscripts, one of the oldest grimoires of our Western magical world, you have a lot of spells to Hecate, some for protection. Hecate was also asked for protection against illnesses, because as she was presiding the dead, she could also delay those that are going to perish. Yeah, so it was double for double things, or also for curses. Yeah, of course, that Hecate was not good or bad. Yeah, she was feared, but from modern magical perspective, it's something the closest, I think, and I don't want to compare it like that it's the same. It's not, but in modern cultures, you have, for example, Santa Muerte. That is very also based, of course, it's a mix of Central American cultures, Christianity, and so on, but and modern way how we perceive benevolent, but also very powerful spiritual energy egregore of the dead that can help but can also harm. Yeah, so something similar to maybe in nature to what Hecate was for the ancient Greeks. But Hecate is a living culture, a cult, of course, even now, but we are touching the similar surface or similar ground. I want to say that working with the dead is practically the oldest magical practice that we know. It's even the word necromancy, yeah, is maybe misunderstood, because if you are looking for if I should give you like some kind of terminology, like necromancy is considered a practice involving the communication with the dead by either summoning or by getting some visions of the apparitions, or to do a divination with the dead. And in modern times, of course, it's considered more like a black magic or witchcraft, but it was a regular magical practice in ancient Greek times. The word necromancy is not Greek. It comes from, interestingly, from late Latin. Yeah, so by late Latin, we mean the time when the Roman Empire was crumbling. So we say 5th century, 4th, 5th century. But the word was necromantia. Yeah, but it's even the Latin, like took it from Greek, from classical Greek, but it was not necromantia or necromancia, but it was called necromanteia, and that means really divination through a dead body. We are getting into interesting topic that ancient Greeks understood that necromancy, or to do the necromancy, you are doing divination through a dead body. By dead body, they meant not only physical body, but mostly also skulls. Yeah, so when the guy stole the Zdislava skull and put it into the place under the ground, under the concrete, in a specific place which is very hard to reach, it doesn't sound normal to me that he wants later to put it into the river. No, it's probably used as it should have been used as a ceremonial place, because necromanteia is a divination through a dead body, but the whole word is like combination of two words. It's necros, it means dead body, and manteia. Manteia is a divination. We have a lot of types of divinations. So the oldest mentioning of this world comes from Origen of Alexandria. It's 3rd century. Yeah, so Origen is writing about Odysseus and his Odyssey. Odysseus was a Greek hero returning from Troja War, you know that, and he is having difficulties to return back, so he's practically going through the Mediterranean Sea, and Odyssey, to get help in his journey. Odyssey is not only like story about a hero returning back in physical place. It's also the journey of a hero that is trying to become himself. It has deeper meanings. But Odyssey, or Odysseus, he visits the realm of the dead souls. Yeah, and that's the first mentioning of necromantia in a story. Yeah. Necromancy is very close also to like old prehistoric or shamanistic magic. It's not only used in Greece. Yeah, the similar rituals were used in Persia or in Chaldea, also in China. Yeah, we do have these mentionings. But if I return back to Odyssey or Odysseus, yeah, so there is this story about a powerful sorceress that Odysseus visits. Her name is Circe or Circe, and through her help, Odysseus travels to underworld in order practically to gain an insight about the impending voyage home. So he's doing divination. He's asking Circe about how is my voyage going to be? What is the future for me? What is awaiting me at home? Because Odysseus is nervous about the situation at home, because there are like people that would like to. He's a king, but there might be like politics behind it, and he might be losing the throne and so on. So he speaks to the sorceress Circe. She's also his lover. Yeah. And so he invokes a shade of a fallen hero, Tiresias, and then he learns that his journey will be very difficult and complex, and will take more years than the whole Trojan war was taking. Yeah. So during the practice, of course, why I'm mentioning it, because in this story, this is one of the earliest mentioning of the magical ritual that we are getting. Yeah, that Origin of Alexandria in the 3rd century is also describing the ritual a little bit. And he's speaking there about a need for protection. Yeah, that that she's of course working. The Circa is working with the fires. She's working with the magical circles. She's using talismans and incantations. Yeah, and the reason is that the necromancer is meaning practically the adept that is divining the dead to get the divination. Not like now we maybe misunderstand it because of the computer games or so on. It's practically a priest. Yeah, so the protection is needed because the necromancer would like to be protected against the, how they say, like morbid aspects of death. Yeah, this is the feeling that I get when I was in that ossuary, that those energies were even like pervasive. Yeah, that it was like there was something hungry in that. Yeah, that the dead were like, okay, now we envy that you live. Yeah, we are going to take some kind of your energy for that. Yeah, if you want our help, we are going to take some kind of living energy from you. Yeah, so that's why even necromancy as such is considered a dangerous art that needs some kind of protection. Yeah, and can take a lot of days and so on. Yeah, we have the similar mentionings of necromantic rituals also from Greek in Ovidius. Yeah, in his famous book Metamorphoses, he's describing the world of the dead as a similar to marketplace. Yeah, that the dead are gathering in some kind of places. Ovid is a little bit ironic. Yeah, that the dead are like gathering together and they convene together and they exchange news and they gossip. Yeah, and you can get, because the dead knows what the other dead knows. So when you are working with some kind of spirit, usually invoking, many times it happens during the necromantic operations that you are calling different spirit, that the different spirit approaches you. And they are even like in medieval grimoires later on, like Munich necromantic how was it called in, I'm so sorry, this medieval oh, it's called Munich Manual of Demonic Magic. Yeah, that's Renaissance magic grimoire. So they are like mentionings of it, that when you are calling a spirit, you might get not an imposter, but a different spirit that is approaching you, and you say, "Are you this?" And he says, "I am it," or he says, "No, I am not. He is not here." And then you are through him. You are saying like, "By the power of this and that angel, that and that, call me that another one." Yeah. So the dead know each other. So Ovidius practically ironically mentioning that the dead, the realm of the dead, is a marketplace where there is always gossip, there is always some kind of communication, might be implying that we are connecting with some sort of network, that we are connecting with entire realm that is interconnected. Yeah. So interesting. Yeah. So but you are practically creating a mark. Yeah. The dead know you. I have witnessed a situation with my friend who is very gifted person, but he's not a magician. He is he's not a magician, and but however, he has a gift to, or a curse, to be connected with or to feel the spirits of the dead. Call it how you want, but really, I felt it when I visited him once. There was always like cold breeze during the night that something went through, and it was not some kind of he's caring about the he's more like a religious person. So although he's not magician because he dislike the practice, definitely he can protect himself through the powers of the prayer and so on. But he said to me that sometimes he's getting dreams of dead that are practically visiting him and that they are lost, and he's always like sending them somewhere, but there are more coming in. Yeah, so because they know that he's able to see, so there are more coming. Yeah, this is what he told me. So for some people it can be very dangerous practice, because that's why the circe is saying circe is mentioning the need for protections, especially with the spirits of the dead, not with the spirits like we left hand path we work with egregoric spirits. Some users are not using that, but the circles are used in necromantic operations to be protected from the morbidity of the from the morbid aspects of the death. Yeah, so he's telling me like that he's always like getting this. And I did a video even about in Japan when there was this big flood, the tsunami came. There were people that got practically put into got nervous breakdown because they were like saying that those people were lost that died in the tsunami, and they felt the spirits coming in to ask them how to get home and so on, and it was overwhelming to some people. There are so many stories about it. You can check it. So there were a lot of Shinto priests that were trying to appease the victims of the tsunamis in the 90s, in early 20th century, 21st. So we know that some energy, residual energy of this dead is remaining and might be lost, but in Greek manuscripts or writings, we get these hints that the spirits that are, maybe even if they are appeased, they live in some sort of realm. Yeah, they call it Hades. Yeah, Hades. Yeah, Hades in Latin. Yeah, Hades in English. So it's the realm of the dead. Mm, they are. It's the lower, it's the higher realm of the dead, because even according to the Greek terminology or mythology, Hades is called practically the lesser realm of the dead, where the spirits of the humans reside. And then you have the lower zone that is called abyss. That's the place where the titans are imprisoned. The chthonic energies of the times of the war between the Olympic spirits, the spirits of the reality that we live in, and something very deep and chaotic. Yeah, so the titans are buried below the below Hades. Yeah. So the dead are there. There is a realm of the dead that can be connected with and can be helpful, but also dangerous. I am And I will get back a little bit. I will speak a little bit more about the medieval way how necromancy was perceived in the medieval times. But if we move a little bit more from Greece and we look at the why necromancy is considered so forbidden art and super dangerous, might be dangerous, because it contains a lot of working with emotional energies that might be unstable, because not everyone that dies is ready to die, let's say. So the emotional energy is there, yeah, and you can meet with many positive, negative, so-called vampiric energies that would like to stick with you, yeah, because you might be the only thread to the reality that the energy wants to practically still, they want to relieve to live the experiences through you. So that's why you have so many possessions in necromantic rituals. Let's speak later on maybe about the voodoo practice, which is, I would say, the largest living practice of necromancy, working with the Gede spirits in current times. Yeah, but if we look at the how it was perceived in the Bible, yeah. So due to the dangerous aspects of working with the dead, it was simply forbidden, yeah, by the church. Yeah. So I think even in by the Israelites, even in the Old Testament, in the Bible, you have practically explicit warnings about that working with necromancy and working with the dead is forbidden. I have even wrote here that you can find that part where it is forbidden in the book of Deuteronomy, 18:9 and verse 12. So I have it in English here. So in the book of Deuteronomy 18:9, you can read, when do art come into the land which the Lord thy God give thee, thou shalt not learn to do according to the abominations of those nations. There shall not be found among you anyone who makes his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or who used divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer. For all who do these things are an abomination unto the Lord, and because of these abominations, the Lord thy God doth drive them out from before thee. So this is a death penalty. Yeah, it's meant for, of course, Deuteronomy is, yeah, by modern religionists considered to be written by the clergy of that time, and they of course don't want to have competitive or any other way of worship or spirituality except of the Israelites tradition. Yeah, so of course they simply forbid all kind of spiritual activities. So it's totally forbidden. Yeah. So also you have more warnings in Leviticus. That's but Leviticus is a strange exception, because in Leviticus you have probably those that you have been visiting church or are more into the history of the Bible or the Old Testament. In Leviticus 20:27, there is a story of King Saul. Yeah, King Saul is of course powerful king at that time, but he is facing the enemies, and he fears for his for the future of his kingdom. And so Saul is, of course, trying to get some kind of prophecy how the battle will end. So he calls Witch of Endor. Witch of Endor. This is something similar to the Circe, that Odysseus is working with. And Saul is trying to invoke the spirit of his not a friend, but something like a mentor, a judge, or a prophet, the spirit of Samuel. So that who is already dead, and he would like to speak with Samuel, because he would like to ask Samuel for advice, how to continue with the battle, what to do, and so on. So he is asking Witch of Endor, the necromancer, to bring Samuel from the abyss, or from let's say in Greek it would be Hades, but in Israelites religion it's called Sheol, the place of abandonment. Interestingly, in modern magic, or in Solomonic magic in 16th century, when we are trying to figure out the origin of Belial, so a lot of they would say he is the master of Sheol, so he is the master of that area of the dead. So they are trying to call Samuel from the realm of the dead. However, Samuel appears as an apparition, and he says to Saul, like, how dare you to call me and to break my sleep? And he practically ask him, like, I think it's even in Leviticus in English, why has you disquieted me? And he curses him practically and goes back, and Saul dies next day in combat. So that's later on. This was also discussed by the Israelites and by the priests, that Saul lost the battle and died tragically because he broke that prohibition against necromancy, that he's breaking the God's commandment. So in Leviticus we have example of failed magical operation. But this is, we see practically, I don't want to sound like someone that is like saying that of course we are breaking something. This is coming from very strict religionistic view of Israelites, that their cult of Yahweh, of God, is the only possible one. And there is a lot of history about it, of course, because imagine that the Israelites community was relatively small, and against them there were so many other nations with competing gods, Philistines, later on Egyptians, by many we could say, the Greeks, we can say that maybe even compared to Israelis, and in that time, like superior cultures. I don't want to go there, but like the cultures with deep temples, richer cultures, with more resources. So they are of course trying to survive and get into the position that their culture will survive and would be successful. So they are creating very strong kind of religion that is prohibiting the society to adhere to other rules, because that is weakening the society, the culture that is always having wars, with the Philistines and so on. So that's maybe the code was so thank you. Of course, yes. You see, Egyptians and Babylonians, so they are trying to have practically their own ideology, and to have your own ideology you have to restrict access of your populace to other ideologies, because you are having wars with the others. So it was maybe a question not of some kind of vice that, okay, we are going to suppress all of the people like we understand it now from the perspective of after the French Revolution, independence of the individual and so on. It was the question of survival of their society, of their culture. So they repressed everything, and Bible or Old Testament as a codification of their cultural rules, stories, is heavily dictated and by the ideology of Israelites. Nothing bad with that. They wanted to have, later on, of course, probably even in that time they did not knew that they will be so successful that Christianity will be not, of course we have like Judaism even now, but that the Christianity will be so successful and it will affect more than 2/3 of the world with the ideology created maybe 1000 or 800 before current era. So we are still living in this moment where we feel, because we are raised in it, there are not that many cultures or generations that are saying, okay, maybe it's not only dogma, maybe Christianity or old Israelis, they had some political expectations that they created these dogmas: you can't, you shall not, it's forbidden. And we still have this fear. So necromancy forbidden because it is very it's a competition. If you are, as I said, necromants were priests working with the dead, doing the divinations. So that's something that Israelites priests did not want to have. So they pushed it. They don't want to have their own agenda, their own spirituality, their own rules. So what you read in the Bible, Leviticus and so on, is it God's will, or is it will of the elite of that time? Okay, so that were the Israelites, but later on, with the development of the Christianity, it got into conflict mostly with the Roman religions. And in Roman religions, you had, of course, cults that were working with the dead. So again, there is a cultural, political, religional clash. And we know, I don't want to go now into this discussion. I made some videos also about the development or understanding of several Christian sects, Gnostics, and so on. So let's move maybe to the situation where in medieval ages, where the Christian ideology is prevailing. So necromancy is considered a forbidden art, because working with the dead or veneration of the dead is now fully in the grasp of the clergy, but spiritually the dead are always with them. You see there are these saints, the bones of the martyrs, these objects of veneration are still trying to represent this connection with the other, with the dead, with the realm of the dead. Of course, it's no longer Hades. It's no longer Sheol, like with the old Israelites. Maybe it's the same name for the same thing. For Christians, it's practically the moment, the underworld. But they don't want to have. They come up with a saying that the dead are in a sort of limbo where they are waiting after they dead for the resurrection, but only if after the Christ will return, of course, there will be a resurrection. But the earlier, like Peter or Paul or the early Christians, I'm speaking first, second century, where the Christianity does not have this codex. There are so many sects there. They still don't know whether Christians or Christians should be only Jews or not, or so on. So they discuss this. You have a lot of letters in the Bible, in the New Testament, like Apostle Paul and so on. But they say, okay, but Christ will be back soon. He will be back in our life when I will be. Paul is saying first when he's younger, when we will be old, like Christ is gonna be back, and everyone will see that there will be he will be judging those that are. He's going to lead us into the future. We will be all chosen. But with first Christians, mostly in Rome, start to die because they are old. But Paul was living relatively long. Even Peter was living longer, and they are asking him, okay, so but what is going to happen to those that are dead? There are cults in Rome where people can speak to the dead and so on. And when is Christ coming? When where we will be like back? What is going to happen to those that already died and haven't seen Christ? So they start to say, okay, even if they physically died, they will be reborn when the Christ is back. And when it's gonna happen? He says, okay, maybe 100 years and so on. It changes. So they need, but they did not want to say that the dead are living in some sort of underworld. So they say it's some sort of limbo. They are sleeping. The dead are sleeping. They can't be connected or communicated with because it's forbidden in Old Testament. So they try to repress the idea of working with the dead. They want just the communication with the or the remembering of the Christ coming and so on. So later on, even the idea of hell. We many times might say that Hades or the underworld is a hell. It's the hell, or the concept of hell did not existed until the 13th century, because there were like a lot of discussions like, okay, so everyone is sleeping, and if they are resurrected by Christ coming, what will happen to those that are like not believing in Christ? Or so there are so many discussions there on the consoles later on when they say, okay, so if they die, maybe they don't know Christ, but they were like faithful, so they will be resurrected. This is the idea of the current clergy, current Catholics, that even if they say you might be saved even if you have never heard about Jesus Christ, if you were kind, if you were like but in that time, but it creates also a question, what will happen to those that denied Christ? And the first idea of Rome, they haven't been thinking about that. A few hundred years ago, they were saying like, they will be not resurrected. But later on, the machine goes on, so they have to create the fear. So they say, no, they will be not only that they will be not resurrected, but they will be burning in hell. So hell is a concept that is created practically in 13th century, but more about that maybe in some other videos. But it's strangely it's a different sort of hell, because in Greek Hades or underworld, you have a spiritual world that you can connect with, where you can communicate, which might be dangerous because of the energy of the dead. Some might be like not kind to you, but it is a living ecosystem. But in Roman Catholicism, there was no there was only hell, like for the lost souls. But hell, it created another theories, because you thank you, Demona Sophia, because you are mentioning Dante. Dante Alighieri, the Divine Comedy, where he's like creating the 7 circles of hell and so on. Beautiful. Read it, those that you haven't. But it's classics, but very nicely written thing. And if you know it in Italian, I envy you, because I don't know Italian. So they create something in the middle. So they said, okay, so but if they are going to burn in hell, where they are now, when there was no Christ coming, so where are those that are evil? Are they sleeping with those that are good? Some people did not like that, because they said, like, if they are sleeping and they were like tyrants, Nero and those that were killing Christians, and they are just sleeping, and they will be judged in 1,000 years, and now they are sleeping with my grandfather who were good. This is not right. They should be punished even right now. So they create like the third they start to, it's nonsensical. They had to create the whole cosmology around it. So they say, okay, there is like a third moment where this limbo, which is practically the place where those souls in Dante Alighieri, his genius, are waiting to be judged. And some might be released for lesser trespassings if they were like stealing something and so on, but they will be punished enough, and at the end they will be judged. And if they will be, because the God and Christ is merciful, so if they are fine, they might get back and they might get access to heaven, but some will not get anything. They are already punished and will be punished even more. So they will Dante is making like this interesting system from it. But it created a lot of complications for Christians to create this concept. But I think that they were trying to help each other, because they start to create this in late medieval times and early Renaissance. So we can say end of the 13th century, end of the medieval times, like we know, and early Renaissance, so 14th century. And they already start to get access to old books from Greek, because Arabic world is reopening itself. The roots are open, so a lot of new information is coming in. There is a revival of Greek literature. In the time, of course, Byzantium is destroyed, so all of the libraries that are not burned down might some were translated and went to Rome. So they are becoming a little bit more educated, and they got also the more information about Egypt and so on. And I think they started to use mythology. Not me, I think in general it's believed that they might have been starting to use mythology from the Egyptian times. From the Book of the Dead was not translated in the time, but they already knew about this, the god Anpu, the frog that is because when according to Egyptian idea, if the soul is dead, the heart of the dead is weighted on the scales, and if it's heavier, then if the sins are heavier than heavy, Anpu, the frog, is going to eat it. Yeah, so and if it's better, then it's going to some kind of higher spheres. So that were more cleaner things. So they are just using it like they are creating these several layers of hell. Some people still waiting, some people that are going to be burned and so on. But it's very different from the ecosystem or from the reality of working with the dead. Because if you go to the to that ossuary, you feel the energy right now. You don't feel that they are spirits in some kind of limbo, that they are just sleeping, senseless. Yeah, you feel a lot of energies. Yeah, so it was a concept that had to be created because necromancy and in general working with the dead was considered was challenging the authority of resurrection and the idea of sin. Yeah, that someone is going to judge us because of our sins was also alien to the Greek or to the Roman religion. Yeah, so yeah, of course, yeah, they were. This is bringing me to the moment that they were living in the mind of the Greeks or the mind of the Persians, was that the dead and the living are in one ecosystem. Yeah, to put it into the modern words, they were. It was not something separated, and the idea of hell and some kind of limbo is creating artificial boundaries which leads even today to the repression of the idea of dead. Yeah, our modern cultures are afraid of even speaking about the dead. Yeah, we don't know. In modern culture, when someone says someone passed away yesterday to me or something, you know this form of awkwardness that you can say my condolences. Yeah, but you at the end you don't know what to say. We are not trained into these discussions. We are repressed by it. Maximum someone might, yeah, this is creating something unhealthy in the Western uh, society, I would even say. Yeah. Yeah, and of course there were so many theories. Yeah, some were saying Earth is actually hell, but this is considered a heresy by the Christians, because they said, because it was going against the idea that God in Deuteronomy was creating the cosmos and everything in 7 days, and you have it there, and there is written, and God saw that it is good. So that would practically say that the work of God is not good, is not perfect. And that was a heresy. Some Gnostics, of course, those were specific. I wouldn't call them sects. There were times when Gnostics were more had more numbers than those that were following maybe the teachings of, let's say, something that the modern church was developed later on from. So Gnostics believed, of course, that the reality is not good, because they believe that there are two sorts of gods. One is the leader of the world, that is an illusion, and the second one is the total principle. Yeah, but there are so many Gnostic ideas, but that was Gnostic thinking, that the earth is maybe not that perfect. And it's not only Gnostic thinking, it was the thinking of the Zoroastrians. Zoroastrians were living a religion that was saying that that the world is a battle of principles, that there are archons, and there is negative principle and positive principle, that the positive might be stronger, but we are living the problem of evil. Yeah, it was a big problem for the religion later on, and so on. But we would go endless into this discussion. So Christians repressed that. They said that the world is great, but we have our own will. Yeah, and our will might be affected by that Luciferian Satan and so on. Also, the term Satan, Lucifer, started relatively late with the wrong translation from Vulgata. Yeah, but so going back into the way how the dead were perceived in medieval times. Yeah. In the Middle Ages, with this very strong repression of connection with the dead, yeah, some practitioners, of course, those that were traveling, or those that had like communication, like with the other cultures and so on, try to create some kind of grimoires that that would be able to help them with the connection of the with the God, because many these medieval writers of these occult books believe that that the actual resurrection, that's what you have to understand, that those that were creating these old grimoires were mostly priests, because they could read. Yeah, they were the most so one say what they were saying to the masses, to the public, but they were of course influenced by Greek, by Latin books, by all of these things. So official doctrine was in medieval times that actual resurrection of the dead is done only through the assistance of the God, and only God can resurrect. But in Roman times, you have, for example, Church of Asclepius. Yeah, that those that were doing the similar, according to them, like miracles than Jesus was doing. Yeah, so when Christians came to Rome, and they were saying like he resurrected Lazarus. Yeah, so they were not, many Romans were not that impressed. They were saying, oh, that's, he must be a great healer. Our Asclepius is doing the same. Yeah. Even in the Bible, you have Simon the Magus that was able to do the same miracles as God. You have Zoroaster, that was another Persian deity, very, very powerful, that also was believed to be able to heal the ill and so on. So they had to create again some kind of strong ideology. Why are these other temples Asclepios or Zoroasters, why they are able to heal, and also we are able to heal. But what is the difference? Why our doctrine is superior to those miracles of the other churches, of those maguses and priests of the others? So they came up practically with the idea that only God is that those that are believing in God might be healed or resurrected, but the others are practicing necromancy, and they are maybe able to heal, but only through the power of conjuring demons that appear as a spirits, as a spirit. So they even created a name for it. They call the practice like maleficium, doing something evil, and so this is something that the clergy internally in early medieval times and so on was aware that necromancy is not only something mentioned in the Bible, but it was also practiced by the other cultures. And of course, the curiosity, these people were intelligent. They wanted to try. They wanted to work with the spirituality. They were a group of those that were creating these grimoires, and these were clergy that, of course, they didn't want it to burn. Inquisition. It was even before Inquisition, but they didn't want it to be like pointed at that they are like heretics or something else. So they started to create a system within the system. They said that the world, and they started to use Neoplatonic ideas for that, that although everything is created by the God, everything is coming from the God, there are lesser energies and powers, spirits maybe, not perfect, might be even evil, but because in the Bible is written that the man was given the power over everything in the world, they are, if they are believing in the God, they are able to connect with the spirits to command them to do good. Of course, it created like a lot of discussions. So the early medieval practice is coming also, and it's a combination of astral magic, influences from the Arabic world. In Arabic world, necromancy was used a little bit more, even in Islam, in early Islam. Later on, some Islamic schools, of course, forbid necromancy. But in the early Islamic times, we speak 7th, 9th century, 10th century, this was more like shamanistic practice, working with the ancestors to heal the families. And they had the same thing, like they couldn't do it openly, so they couldn't even say that they are working with the spirits of the dead. So they came up, the Western magicians came with the practice, and these were clergy that, let's command the spirits. What is the spirit? They started to give it the name of the demons and so on. The whole structure was created. In Greece or in Rome, the idea of demon was different from the idea of demon we have now. Our idea of demon, or maybe in the left-hand path, is strongly post-Christian, satanistic, adversarial. But in the idea of Greek magician, it was usually, of course, we now understand also the spiritual egregores. I don't want to say that there are no infernal spirits and so on. I'm now speaking more about the dead, but they many times the magicians came into contact with the dead, and they were starting to say, these are not the dead, these are the demons. So they created this deformation, that we are still in. I think we have suppressed this working with necromancy, working with the dead, with the ancestors, so much that even now when you look at the YouTube, everywhere you see, including my videos, when I was doing videos about the goetic spirits, these have most views. But how many videos you have about the divination of the dead? Even on the YouTube, you have so few. Like, people are afraid of it. You, of course, because we have this indoctrination through the hundreds years of Western cultural formation that that this is something horror-like, that we have sometimes misplaced. It's easier for people to call the energy spirits or even demons or something, but to work with the dead, there is some kind of like atavism to it. Yeah, we are not used to it. Although the realm of the dead was something automatic for so many shamanistic cultures, almost everywhere, which brings me to the living cultures of the necromancy. We have so many actual living religions that are working with the dead, not as an adversaries, but as a respectful energies. And the most known, of course, or one of the most growing one, is the Santa Muerte, of course, cult. And Greece, of course, understood the demons as a daimon, as a even Socrates speaking about the inner guide, the spirit might have been, sometimes it's ancestor, sometimes it's something different. I need to speak more about these diamonds later in my video about Paracelsian magic, so that's maybe for another session. But returning back to the spirits of the dead, you have you have several big religions that are working with the spirits of the dead. Shintoism, it's everywhere there. Yeah, they are. This is a living, a huge religion working with the ancestors. I think one of the no one or very few people would call Shintoists necromancers. But the Shintoistic priests are working with the spirits of the dead, the same as the priests of Hecate were doing. Maybe they don't do it in the caves, but some Shinto rituals were done also in the caves. So Shintoism is very interesting. And there were some from the magical perspective of our Western magic, because I am not an expert of Shintoism at all, but you might have like some another maybe closer to Western magical practice is voodoo or vodun. Yeah. I don't like to say voodoo. It's a little bit colonial. Let's say vodun. Yeah, or that's practically a syncretic religion of not only practiced, of course, in Haiti, but also there are so many variants in Santeria, Kimbanda, and so on, with different spirits in Portugal and so on. But in Haiti, you have this. The cult is of course prevailing. I had the chance to be very close to Haiti border, and I haven't crossed the border due to the security reasons. Just 3 months ago, I was close to it in the Dominican Republic, and I have met some people, but maybe some videos about it later. But in voodoo or vodun, you have which is of course in the US, I believe it's officially recognized religion. So voodoo is working with several families of spirits. Yeah, they recognize practically the spirits of the water, the spirits of the fire, the Ogun spirits, and then they speak. They work with the spirits of the dead, which are the Gede family. Yeah, Gede family is considered the families of the dead, and it's fascinating how strong this is living in the society. The spirits are called Loa, yeah, and in Haitian voodoo, for example, the Gede are representing the spirits of death, but also fertility. It's like a cycle, and there are so many sub families there. Even what is interesting is that famous people like those that were founders of Haitian freedom are later become in the society as loas, as spirits as well. So they were these first rebellious generals that were fighting the French. They become later on loas, the protectors, mostly from the Ogun, from the Marti, for the spirits of the fire. Yeah, they are not the spirits of the dead, but we can understand that this is a temperament of the spirit. But so many the possession there, why it is so strong, of course, it's also cultural and so on, but they are being possessed by the spirits of the dead because they are so close spiritually and mentally with this. They don't have these blockages, they don't have these sort of limitations that we are trying to push everything that is related to death away from our daily lives. Yeah, they live it daily. So that's why possession is so much more frequent, and it goes also easier away. The whole story of exorcists, these demonic negative possessions, are sometimes, of course, caused also by the blockage of our psyches, that a lot of people are getting possessed because of the fear or things like yeah, it's not always like evil possession. Yeah, the idea of evil possession was mostly in the 70s. But this is something in voodoo tradition that is for hundreds of years. So speaking about the famous, from archetypal point of view, like you have several famous Gede spirits. There are thousands of them, but how do they divide them? Yeah, so they have a like a very famous, or the one of the main Gede spirit is Papa Gede. Yeah, this is interesting because Papa Gede is and by the way, voodoo as such is very much also taking from Roman Catholicism and also Protestantism, but mostly Roman Catholicism, where they have like the authority of the god. Yeah, the first, that's bon Dieu. Yeah, the main good god that created everything. Yeah, so all spirits are coming, all families are coming from bon Dieu. Yeah, but the main representative of, so it's very it's similar to Western religion. Yeah, also the symbols of the spirits. Yeah, practically the veve, they call it the veve. They if you look at the veves, the symbols of the voodoo spirits, they are very close to sigils. They sometimes contain alchemical symbols used in the medieval times. Yeah, so because voodooism was created as a syncretism of African religions, the religions of those cultures that were domestic to some. Unfortunately, in Haiti, you do not have those original cultures anymore. They were mostly destroyed by the Spanish and French, but some names remain. And also is a syncretism with Christianity and magical books. So many magical grimoires ended up in and were accepted with the voodoo religion. So if you speak about the Gedes, so the main one was the Papa Gede. It's a corpse, but it's also a first man who ever died. So we might say maybe interestingly, in the Bible, we can say the first person that died was Abel, because Adam lived longer. But I think it's Papa Gede is practically the first human soul that entered the underworld. And he's being shown like a person with a high hat, smoking cigars, eating apples. He likes apples. So we can call in modern magic like Papa Gede is so-called psychopomp. Psychopomp, it's more from the chaos magic term, like for initial egregore that waits on the crossroads between the living and the dead, and takes them into afterlife. Interestingly, for example, if I return back to Hecate, she was also like waiting for you on the crossroads. Crossroads are a symbol of many underworld deities. So Papa Gede sometimes, this is interesting, and thank you again. In voodoo, the possessions have been demonized because of colonialism, when 90% of the possessions just honor. Exactly, again, this demonization in negative term. So I have been able to see the possession of a person by Papa Gede spirit. Papa Gede likes cigars, so when the person is possessed, it's offered. The person is offered a cigar. He likes to possess, and it doesn't have to be only old people that are being possessed by Papa Gede. Sometimes prefers also young ladies. I don't know. So and the cigar is offered, and the person starts to smoke cigars. Although some, like I saw it with a woman, the person is not smoking at all, but in that moment the cigar was offered. So that's, for example, Papa Gede. But you have also different spirits. You have by Gede, you have different types of Gedes. There is a Brav Gede, it's a guardian, watchman of the graveyard. So a spirit that is like a sheriff in the cemetery. So if there would be like cruel people or even grave diggers, that was common in those times where graves are being, in some countries that are going through difficult times. Some groups of thieves might think that the person is buried with some kind of wealthy some valuable items. So Brav Gede is a form or archetype of maybe of Papa Gede, but it has different ways. So he is a guardian. So might curse you or do some kind of also, however, it's deeper because he's like a guardian of the path, which we have in also in Western magic. So he keeps dead souls and the living souls out, so they don't mix. in Greece, you have this Cerberus, the dog that is guarding. Yeah, so there you have always this powerful energy that is like a membrane. Yeah, so you have to have the permit. Yeah, if you want to go through. Yeah, then you have, for example, Gede Nibo. That is very known in voodoo. It's also a powerful psychopomp. It means like an entity that is across the living and the dead. He's acting as an intermediary, so between the living and the dead. So he's believed to be Gede Nibo is believed to be the first person that died by violence. So maybe this is the Abel. I don't know. Yeah. So he's also the patron of those who died by some disaster or accident, and he is a protector, and those that died by some cruel that die earlier that they should have been died. So interesting. Yeah, and then you have feared Loa, known as Baron Criminel. Yeah. And interesting thing is that Baron Criminel, by Baron Criminal, it's from French. We can say it's a baron of criminals. So he's the enforcer. He's the powerful spirit, the soldier, the main soldier of the Gede family. So he can be used also for darker operations, and he is believed to be the first person to kill another person. So he might be something like Cain. Yeah. And interesting thing is that the Gede Nibo is first person that died by someone that was killed. Gede Nibo is first that was killed, and Baron Criminal is the first that killed someone. So probably Baron Criminal killed Gede Nibo. Baron Criminal is the first murderer. Yeah. But these things seem very natural compared to this very artificial way how Christian dogma formed our society. And from modern perspectives, from Western, and this I'm going to the end of today's video. But before I go out, I would like to maybe do a very short review of a book that I have been reading recently, and it is touching something from this. What I was discussing, but it's not about our discussion. It's just that maybe a follow-up for you. It was recently published by Theon Publishing. I believe it's a German publishing house, but they publish in English. And the book is called The Black Pilgrimage. The Black Pilgrimage, and the author is Mr. David Beth. Yeah, Mr. David Beth, I believe he lived in the Africa. Then now he lives in Germany. He's, I think, even owning this, and he created this way, like how to live spiritually. And I agree, and some things I don't agree with, but I would say that he is describing, and he is considering himself like a voodoo priest. I think even like of a very high ranking, or the highest ranking, I don't know, because he claims that he was living there or something. Might be true. I don't know the gentleman, but he is speaking a lot about the dead, and practically the teachings in the book are a little bit gnostic. Yeah, he comes out that there is some kind of of course, total higher power, and there is something called like tempter. Yeah, we can say this Gnostic autarch that is trying to create all of the illusion, and is manifested through the ego, yeah, through our own misconceptions about ourselves, and that is practically preventing us to live the living in connection with all of these things, with spirituality, with the angels, with the dead, with the shadowy infernal spirits. All is part of something, yeah. But just to call it infernal is already Christianization of something. We can say chthonic of the underworld, yeah. And the working with the dead is interestingly very prevalent in this book. It's a system. I am not going to review it right now. I understand that Mr. Beth is creating some sort of syncretism with the teachings of the Voodoo Gnostic workbook by Albert Berthiaud. I think Berthiaud was, and still is, was Shintoistic, voodooistic priest. Now you see where it is getting, like a lot of this working with the spirits of the dead. So David Beth is, I think, creating like modern version of the Voodoo Gnostic workbook. I think the Voodoo Gnostic workbook is much more dangerous to work with. Working with the Black Pilgrimage is interesting. Not totally my thing. I am not fully into it, but I really would recommend you to maybe read it, because the chapters about working with the dead are very interesting. He practically says that it's not that they are like in different places and so on. They can be worked with. They can be very, and that's also my practice, they can be very easily connected, can be connected, yeah, through very simple rituals, remembrancing, candles. But if you are working with them, what I would recommend you first, if you want to touch these things, first start like visiting the places, just feeling the places where, like cemeteries, not in that morbid way, just feeling it, yeah. And it's not sensationistic, yeah. There are some, of course, rituals working with the skulls and so on that might be considered illegal, working with the human remains, but it's also written here, might be symbolic, of course. But if you are trying to work with the necromancy, I would avoid these sensationalism, yeah, sensationalism, like, oh, I'm necromant, yeah. It's about realizing that the mortality is just one moment, realizing that you are living and you will be dead, but these are the same two sides of the same coin, although that we try to suppress it. And if you want to feel that energy, if you are feeling for it, and if you were lucky in your life to have a family or ancestors that you feel are worth to connect with, because some of us, of course, we're not that lucky. We know people might come from different areas of life and situations. I would start with your own ancestors, because they are close to you. Do it respectfully. You don't have to bring people from the dead, like the witch of Endor. Yeah, you can just connect with simple candles first. Yeah, remembrances, the day of the birth, or of the passing of your ancestors. Do meditations Imagine that you are in a tunnel where there is a shadow, and you see your those that passed away, and generations, even those that you don't know, and the connection will be there. It's very strange and even calm feeling. Ask for protection, ask for help, ask for guidance. If you are not in that situation, that, for example, sometimes you might not have these ancestors, or you feel that it's not good to connect with them, connect with those that were considered, that you consider role models. Choose those people that you feel might be beneficial for you. For those that are working with necromancy, really asking the dead for help or even for the knowledge, like now we are getting into, if you are because some people, even my students might be working and are working with spirits that are not that kind, that are not our ancestors, but might have been practitioners of some arts or things like that, these masters. That's dangerous, because if you are connecting with a spirit that might have been violent in the past, you, in every magical operations, there is no separation. Even when you are connecting with the spirit, there is a form of light possession. Even for us that are not from the voodoo practice, you are letting something in you. You are getting influenced by it. With every type of deity, with every type of egregor, with every type of spirit, you are getting into connection with it, and you are becoming one for a moment. There is always a change. You will be never the same, because when you touch something, even in the real life, your skin, your cells are interconnecting with it. What you eat is affecting you. What you connect with also. So when you connect with safe energies, it's probably safer for you and more beneficial. If you are connecting because you would like to have understanding of something with violent energies, you have to be prepared that you are going to feel that emotions. A serial killer might be quite weird in your mind. I don't say that you will become like that, but it can harm you. Yeah, that's why the protection circles are being used. Protection circle sometimes can be just imagined. For that, check my videos about. I did so many videos about that. So I am not saying that we should be like. This is not like invocation where we are calling something from inside, yeah, some spiritual or even spirits like goetic spirits and so on, that can be worked sometimes with limited protection, and yeah, this is very intensive. Yeah, so you should call through candles. Negative spirits are being called, or negative yeah, spirits can be called through, yeah, they are called through animal sacrifice, but this is not what we should be doing, and I'm not advocating it, but now I'm just showing that you might start to understand why someone might be interested in the school of Saint Zdislava. Because if the spirits are interconnected and you have some powerful spirit that can speak with others, and the ideology of the saint that is speaking for you to someone else, and if you start to use this type of remain for selfish needs, of course it might have some curse or impact, but that's very powerful magic egregor through which you, or through which you can connect with something else. So is it right? Is it moral? Is it ethical? Not at all. Yeah. But I think that if you know the you can develop this technique. But working with the dead is I say here, yeah, like Demon Sophia is mentioning, it doesn't have to be your niche. And for all of you, we have this, we might not feel good for it. Even in voodoo, not everyone wants to work with Gede family. During the ceremony, the burial rites, yes, yeah, but people like to work with Erzuli for love rituals, or they would like to work with Ogun for becoming, having good work, or to get strength for life. Yeah, but yes, working with ancestors is very powerful ancient practice. This is the beginning of the magic. This is the first rituals that were done before the societies created religions, created the names for the deities, created systems of good and evil and whole huge cosmogonic systems. From Neolithic times, we were working with our ancestors. And that's the beauty maybe of voodoo, that you have that it even works with this archetype of first innocent person that died, and first criminal. Yeah, we might be very much surprised how much even like these shamanistic ideas are there. And so are in our Western Hermeticism. It's just suppressed. Yeah. So working with the dead, it might be easier than we think. They are all around us, and people might, the atheist might disagree, but they would be not disagreeing that much when they are sleeping in the 2 a.m. in the night, and there is always this question, this silent moment, like, what if? So I hope this was a very long video. Thank you for those that you have stayed with me, and more to come. Yeah, I plan to do more about Paracelsian magic, about astral magic, things like that. Thank you for staying with me. Take a reading if you like. Yeah, it's here. So take care. Thank you. Bye, friends.